Hello kind people of YouTube and welcome back to another video. We have a bunch of news to talk about today, all of it surrounding certain coins or projects. So let's start with looking at Monero. They have a hard fork coming in March 2019 and this one turned out to be pretty controversial because of some decisions made by the core staff. Let's take a look. Monero XMR, the 13th largest cryptocurrency by market cap, is up and ready for the next hard fork. According to a recent announcement made by the Monero team, the hard fork will occur on block 1,788,000 and will be taking place on the 9th of March 2019. Sec1, an XMR contributor, posted on Reddit. So we're forking in 4 weeks. Block 1,788,000, CNV4 still not finalized but will be soon, hopefully. So if you're a merchant exchange, please plan this in time. The post further read that this fork will not be introducing any new features for Monero besides new notification and new block size algorithm. This was followed with a statement claiming that the testing of the fork should be easy as there are few changes introduced in the fork. Now, these are few changes, but they are of course very important. The block size algorithm is a pretty important underlying algorithm, and new notification features are also quite interesting. Samsung Galaxy Player, a Redditor, explained the upcoming changes. Apparently this will be forked with the current 0.13 code, so very few. A couple default payment ID changes, new adaptive block size algorithm, new notifications and the new mining algorithm. I don't know when the 0.14 code will be used. The fact that this new block size algorithm is adaptive is of course very good for the underlying work there, for how efficient the blockchain will be. But now we get into the less positive parts, because until now everything sounds pretty great, doesn't it? These sound like good updates, but the way this is being rolled out is controversial. This announcement was soon met with dissent from some of the members of the Monero community. This was mainly because the decision was first made by the developers in a private chat. In addition, the announcement about the postponement of the changes, which were initially proposed to a later date not being discussed, was also frowned upon by the members. So essentially, they wanted to roll out a bigger upgrade that contained this and even more changes, but instead the Monero core developers decided on their own privately to roll out a smaller update with only some of the features instead, without consulting the community. The core team decided to delay all the other features to an unknown time to push out the ASIC and block size changes earlier. This action was not discussed or known to the wider community until today, and this is the first time this sort of action has occurred in recent memory. Other upgrades followed a more well-known pattern before they were announced. To this, Fluffy Ponisa, aka Ricardo Spagni, I probably mispronounced that, sorry, the lead developer of Monero, said, "I agree, this is wrong and should be fixed." This, however, was soon criticized by another Redditor, Jamai Vu 33, who asked what the action would be. The Redditor went on to say that the people of the Monero community have become victims to developers' agendas, taking into consideration that the space is supposed to be decentralized. He responded, "They should be victim to the developers' agendas. If you don't like what the 500 plus contributors are doing, go hire different developers. But the developers shouldn't have a decision forced on them. We had a good discussion in Monero Dev and we found a good path forward that has resounding with support from people who have contributed code." So essentially, the issue here is not what the upgrade actually is. I think most people seem to agree that this update is an update in the right direction. The issue instead is how the Monero team has handled this. In a space that values decentralization, that values communal decision making, that the idea that the core development team would change the upgrade plan without consulting anyone is troubling. And I have said before that I don't care as much personally in many cases about whether something is decentralized or not. I think decentralization is good in some ways and bad in others, and you always have to look at the situation and at the particular case and at how something is decentralized or centralized. But in this particular case, I absolutely understand why the community would be unhappy. Monero, of course, is very much a privacy coin, is very much a coin that was created in the spirit of a free and open and equal and decentralized internet, and seeing the developers do this is more than a bit disappointing. Let's hope they learn from this and this was just a lapse in judgment that they will not repeat. Some Ripple news, because we have even more companies going live with RippleNet. Remittance firms UAE Exchange and Unimoney have gone live with blockchain-based payments using Ripple technology. Finabla, which owns the two brands, announced Sunday that real-time cross-border remittances using RippleNet are now live, starting with payments for its international customers to Thailand. Other destination countries are expected to be added going forward. The service was launched in partnership with Thailand's Siam Commercial Bank, the firm said. Finabla director and CEO Promov Mangat, I probably mispronounced that, very sorry, commented. The adoption of blockchain opens up considerable potential to streamline remittances and provide a frictionless, fast and secure payments experience. Aside from UAE Exchange and Unimoney, Finabla also owns brands such as Travelex, Express Money, Remit to India Ditto and Switch. I hate when they just take a normal word and spell it differently. We have it with Switch and with Express Money. Come on. And is looking to deploy blockchain technology across some of their services too, according to the announcement. UAE Exchange first partnered with Ripple in February 2018, aiming to reduce the costs and frictions associated with cross-border transactions. In December, Mangat revealed that the firm was planning to launch Ripple-based payments to Asia by the first quarter of this year. At least 200 banks and financial firms around the world have now tapped Ripple for blockchain-based payments. So here we see Ripple just further expand their reach, onboarding even more companies onto RippleNet. Now, since RippleNet has pretty much taken over as the umbrella term, the umbrella system for all their technologies, we do not know which companies are using Xcurrent, Xrapid, Xvia or a mix of them anymore. So we have no idea if and to which degree they are integrating XRP into this. But I've said before, and I'll say it again, any company being onboarded onto the RippleNet platform is ultimately good for both Ripple as a company and by extension for XRP, because it will provide more funding and reach for Ripple to further build XRP, and it is also an onboarding process that was deliberately designed to get companies using the Xcurrent technology first before getting them to use the superior and even more efficient Xrapid technology. So regardless of whether they use XRP or not, this is once again a step in the right direction, and Ripple has built one of the biggest partnership networks, if not the biggest partnership network in the cryptocurrency space very, very, very quickly. It's very impressive what they've been doing. Next up, I don't usually talk about prices much on this channel, but I thought it was interesting to just briefly talk about Binance Coin, because this coin has been doing a lot and has really been beating the rest of the markets, really outperformed the markets. Since January 14th, the price of Binance Coin has increased from $5.54 to $9.70, by more than 75% against the US dollar. In the same time frame, the valuation of the crypto market dropped slightly by $3 billion. BNB has outperformed the rest of the crypto market by a substantial margin and has become a top 10 cryptocurrency for the first time in its history after recording a 6% gain on the day. It threw out Bitcoin SV or Bitcoin Cash SV. I know people call it Bitcoin SV, but since it's a Bitcoin Cash fork, I call it Bitcoin Cash SV. So that is gone from the top 10 in favor of BNB now. Remember when I told you guys to look out for BNB in 2019, that this coin would do a lot? I told you guys. The primary contributing factors of the surge in the price of Binance Coin are fundamental factors such as decreasing circulating supply, the multi-billion-dollar business it represents, the performance of Binance in the bear market, and the prospect of a decentralized exchange. Now, this is one of the most interesting things about Binance Coin. A lot of you guys probably know what it does, what it was created for, but one of its major use cases that is coming this year is that the entire Binance decentralized exchange will be running on top of it and will be using it as base currency. This is going to be absolutely enormous, and right now you have a chance to get in before that happens. On January 16th, the Binance team burned $9.4 million worth of BNB in a coin burn, eliminating a portion of the circulating supply of the asset. The CEO of Binance said, "Burn complete. I remember when I did the first burn of $1.5 million US, equivalent in BNB. I was nervous as hell. Now, well, I am still nervous. Fastest way to spend money." The timing of the coin burn and the beginning of a short-term rally of BNB coincided. From January 16, following the successful elimination of over 1.6 million BNB, the price of the asset surged substantially, and here you can see the price shooting up. Now we don't really need the rest of this article. I just wanted If you weren't paying attention, this is what is happening with Binance lately. Now, Binance will burn coins until the supply has been cut down to exactly 50% of what it used to be. This happens continuously. Further, it is fully integrated into the Binance exchange. It is getting that own exchange soon, the Binance decentralized exchange. And it has a lot of other interesting features, interesting things. It is transitioning to its own blockchain soon. Look out for this coin. Watch out for this coin. This will be one of the big players in my assessment in the future. They are doing so much interesting thing. They have so much backing. This coin, watch this coin. And last but not least, this is more of just an interesting little thing. Someone on Reddit proposed a use case for XRP that I don't think I fully agree with, but I did think it was interesting. We only need these last two paragraphs here. Because they want to use XRP to fight email spam. Towards this end, a Redditor is suggesting a way of preventing inbox spamming by integrating XRP. In the post, he said XRP, the native currency of Ripple, is perfect for paid email. He proposes a bold move that will once and for all stamp out spammers, introducing a fee for every email sent and the need for seeding every Know Your Customer approved email linked XRP wallet with 20 XRPs, limiting the number of accounts a potential spammer can open. Know Your Customer, he says, will increase the advertising value of the email account and is what prevents people from being able to set up what you could call ghost email accounts. To go about this, he proposes implementation to be done in stages. The pilot phase would strictly allow Ripple-to-Ripple communication. After that, and if the initial test phase shows results, Ripple can negotiate with other email providers. Upon agreeing, users will create accounts embedded with Ripple wallets where use is dependent on the amount of XRP in those wallets. From there, and if interested, other users can opt in, embed their email with an XRP wallet, allowing them to receive paid emails from advertisers at their defined rates. They can also use the same email to send payments as if they were an XRP wallet. Now, okay, there are a bunch of major issues with this, but I do think it's an interesting idea. If you want to cut down on spam, make people pay for every email they send. That itself is neither a new idea nor a bad idea. Where I think it becomes troubling is the idea of making people go through Know Your Customer to open email accounts, essentially. Now, this Redditor, what he's suggesting here is not for all email to use XRP, but for essentially adding like a second layer solution to the email protocol. Adding this possibility to have email accounts where they are hooked up to an XRP wallet, where you can only send or receive emails with the use of a fee. I think there are ways that can be integrated interestingly and in a way that supports everyone. For instance, there could be some form of integration where if somebody who is not already in your contact list wants to email you, they have to pay you a small fee. That would really cut down on spam. That would be a very interesting idea, but I'm not sure about this idea of integrating it with Know Your Customer. Like that is, email are a special space where you can be anonymous, where you can be pseudonymous, where you don't have to attach your identity. I think we need to keep that secure. I do think this is an interesting idea. I don't see how XRP in particular is good for this, how any other cryptocurrency can't do this. And I say this as a big XRP supporter. But ultimately, I just wanted to share this because I wanted to share this as an example of how active and creative the XRP community is and about how many potential use cases, completely aside from using it for international remittances, there are for XRP. So there's so much future potential here. And I hope a lot more people will throw around different ideas. I think this idea of potential paid email is interesting in some ways. I'm not sure how mainstream ready it is and how much more it needs to be thought through before it is integrated. I do not like the idea of integrating it with Know Your Customer in any way, but this general idea, I think there's potential there, but it really needs to be considered and it really needs to be deliberate and careful. But I do think there's a potential use case for this. I just don't like some aspects of this. And also, I wonder if anyone will actually use email if you start charging people to send emails. Because then you get pretty damn close to traditional mailing. And one of the reasons people don't send letters is because it costs money. When you could just text people. So, yeah, cautiously optimistic about this idea. This is of course not some major developer involved with Ripple or XRP who is proposing this, but I did think it was interesting, and I always like to highlight stuff like this, highlight this creativity, because you can strongly disagree with something and you can still applaud someone for their creativity and for coming up with unique and interesting ideas of implementing something. And with that, I'm going to end this relatively shorter than usual video. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you want to read any of these articles yourselves, they will be linked in the description. If you want to follow me on social media, links in the description. If you enjoy my content and want to support the channel, excuse me, I just swallowed something. Links to my Patreon as well as donation addresses are in the description. Any support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back with another video soon.